Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Hart, and today I'll be breaking down the Sunday night football game tomorrow night between the 49ers and the Broncos. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn that notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at HartDFS. I put up a bunch of fantasy football relevant stats, key injury news, my trade targets, DFS stuff as well. So a lot of good information there. And yeah, I put up a ton of NFL content on my YouTube channel, so go check out all of that. A PrizePick video will be out later today. And there was a Sunday slate, main slate football breakdown that should be out as well. So a lot of good content for you guys to enjoy. Once again, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll get into this slate's breakdown. So for this, we have a 250K to first showdown slate. Obviously, there's a captain. You need the captain to be optimal and to score a good amount to be able to be in cashing and as well as win the game. So if we look at the top, we have Deebo Samuel. If he's going to be an optimal captain, what do you think needs to happen? You're probably going to have to pair him with Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, they have a good amount of history back last season. He does have rushing upside as well, so he can get you rushing yards, he can get you rushing touchdowns. I do expect him to see, a base of 7 targets, if not more. So he looks like probably one of the best captain plays, but there are some other options. But if you're going to throw him in there at captain, you're probably going to have to get to, Jimmy. And if you think, Deebo Samuel is going to do well, I know he is, rushing now. I mean, they're going to use him in the rushing game, but I do expect him to be more utilized in the passing game. And so if that happens, if he's going to be going off, you're going to think that, Denver's going to have to be passing as well. So I'd also throw in Russell Wilson in the flex, and then you're going to want to get to one of his receivers, Sutton. And then obviously if you do that, you're not left with much. So you're going to have to make some tough decisions on the slates. A lot of these guys are priced pretty high. So it'll be interesting to see. And there's a lot of trade-offs. Like there's guys like Melvin Gordon on the Broncos side, who's a backup, but he gets a good amount of run. On the San Fran side, there's the backup, where is he? Jeff Wilson Jr. I mean, Kittle's coming back, Ayuk's there. So a lot of decisions on the slate. But once again, Deebo Samuel looks decent, a huge part of that San Fran offense. So I don't mind getting him at captain. He's going to be super popular, but I think I'd rather just put him in the flex, take a little riskier play on a different captain. Russ, first 2 games has not looked good at all. Has looked terrible. Absolutely brutal. Do expect them to bounce back. I mean, San Fran is a great defense, so it's going to be tough in this game. But Nathaniel Hackett is just not a good coach for them. Their offense does not look good. So I think my interest in Russ as a captain is just not really there for me in this game. Maybe the following week when they really start to figure things out. But they're going through a little too much growing pains right now. But if you were to put him at captain, you're going to want to, that means he's going to have a good game. I mean, he has a little bit of rushing upside, but he doesn't rush as much as he used to, so that means he's going to throw the ball a ton. He's going to get at least 3 or 4 touchdowns, which means they're probably going to be spread out, and you're going to need to get to guys like a Courtland Sutton. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy, if he plays, questionable, so keep an eye on that. And you could put a Javonte Williams. The first game he saw 12 targets, so if they do go down, he will get involved in the passing game, especially if Jerry Jeudy's out. It's not the most optimal to put a running back with a quarterback, but if they're good pass catchers, they're going to see a lot of targets like Javonte has. You could definitely throw him in there. Who else? Alex L, a disappointing second game, had a decent amount of targets the first game. You definitely throw him in there, and then you could take a shot on a guy like KJ Hamler. Once again, questionable. Didn't see anything that first game, only 1 target. Not good, seeing him being questionable going into the second game. But you could definitely take a shot there if he does play. And then you could also throw in, Brandon McManus. They do go along with the captain quarterback plays because they do score a decent amount of points, and they're more correlated with that than you would think. But you definitely need to throw in at least 2 of Russell's pass catchers, if not 3, if you're going to put him in there at captain, and then run it back with 2 pass catchers on the other side. You want to correlate your lineups. Who else do we have? Javonte, makes for a fair captain play. A little expensive. He does have the handcuff behind him, Melvin Gordon, but he has seen, a good amount of touches the first 2 weeks. they were down, so they weren't rushing the ball a ton, but he got involved in the passing game with 12 targets. And then they were up, weren't scoring a ton, so they were rushing a little bit more. Still got involved, only one catch though. So I don't mind getting to Javonte. If you put him in the captain spot, that means, Denver will most likely be up, and you're going to want to put some pass catchers in the 49ers side to kind of correlate to that game script. So I don't mind getting to him in captain, but I think my first favorite captain play is going to be Courtland Sutton, 9,400. He's seen, I think, the most red zone targets, or tied for the most red zone targets. I think it's 4 or 5 through the first 2 weeks of the season, as compared to ever. So let me rephrase that. Through the first 2 seasons, I think he's seen 4 or 5 red zone targets, which puts him at tied one with, I think, maybe 3 to 4 other wide receivers for the most in the season so far. So he does have upside there. He really hasn't flashed it. I mean, he hasn't gotten any touchdowns yet, but second game is what you like to see. 11 targets, caught 7 for 122 yards. So he's the main guy for Russell Wilson. So I like him a good amount as my captain play. Jimmy Garoppolo makes for an okay captain play. I just don't think there's enough upside there for Jimmy to be an optimal captain. I'd rather take a shot on the other guys. He does like to feed guys like Debo and George Kittle. So I think I'd rather take a shot there than make Jimmy my captain. I just don't think there's a high enough ceiling for him to be optimal there. But he probably will have low ownership in the captain spot. He could get there if it's an ugly game and he has like 2 touchdowns and there's really no other high score, but don't think he get to do it. Jerry Jeudy makes for an interesting captain play. He does have a rib shoulder injury. It looks like he probably will play. Don't think he'll be limited. Do think this will lower his ownership a little bit. Saw 7 targets at first game. Did get a touchdown, 102 yards. Second game, only saw 3 and then caught 1. Obviously got hurt, so didn't play. I think he missed most of the second half. So 8,200 for him looks decent in the captain spot. He is that big, kind of slot threat opposite wide receiver Sutton, who should open up, who should have some big plays. So I don't mind getting to him. Do prefer Sutton a little bit more. Jeff Wilson, 8K. I just love the rushing attempts. I do think San Fran's going to run the ball a ton in this game against Denver. So he's always in play. Hasn't seen, any touchdowns yet, but do like how they did feed him 18 attempts in that game against Seattle. I know they were up. He can get involved in the passing game. So even if they do go down, I'm not too afraid of him getting phased out. So I like him a decent amount in this spot. I'd say mostly as a flex play, but you could definitely throw him in the captain spot. Kittle, I think my favorite captain play of the day. He will be probably pretty popular. He does have some good history along with Jimmy G. Same with Debo Samuel. Obviously, they all played the past few years together, so it makes sense. He was coming off a groin injury, so they're always at slight risk that he maybe tweaks it again, but it looks like he's fine. It looks like he's good to go. I don't think there will be a snap count. If there is, I don't think I'd have interest in him as a captain play for me, maybe a flex, but I think he should be 100% good to go. And if he is, that makes him my favorite captain play on the slate here at 7,400. That's just way too cheap for a guy who's like pretty much the offense for the 49ers is pretty much 30% Debo, 30% George Kittle, what was that, 20% running, and then you can throw out 20% for maybe a guy like Jimmy G or Ayuk or someone else, doing well. But he's a huge part of that offense. Really like him at 7,400. Ayuk, who I just mentioned, 8 targets that second game, which you do like to see. I think he's just more of an afterthought, especially when it's Jimmy G throwing the ball. Evan was excited for Ayuk to kind of break out this year alongside Trey Lance. But now that Trey Lance is injured, I do think Ayuk becomes, he kind of gets thrown on the back burner. I do think Jimmy G does prefer throwing it to Debo Samuel, who's heavily involved, got that contract. George Kittle got that contract. He's heavily involved. So don't think he's going to get a lot of ownership, which does make him an interesting play at 7,000. I'm not saying, don't play him. I don't know if he has he does have, an upside for a captain play. You can make the argument there, but I don't know what to do with him right now. You go Debo Samuel at the top of the order for them, George Kittle, and then Jeff Wilson. I just think Ayuk most of the time is not going to get you there for a captain. I'd say throw him in the flex if you want to play him, but I think I might avoid him as of right now, but who knows? We'll see how my lineup plays out when I start building it. Melvin Gordon, he's going to get 2 touches. He can't get involved in the receiving game as well, so hasn't really truly handcuffed Devontae yet, but there is that chance. So you can definitely get risky and, pick Melvin Gordon, and maybe he gets a red zone touchdown, and then they'll make him optimal. So 6,200, he's definitely in play in the flex. I wouldn't say captain, but definitely play in the flex. Down to the tight ends. Alex O, don't think he's a captain play for me. Not enough upside, but he does get involved in the passing game. So at 5,200, you can definitely take a shot there. KJ Hamler, once again, you can take a shot. Wasn't too involved that first week. He is questionable, which was not good because he was hurt all of last year. And in the first game, I only saw one target. Now he's hurt again. If he plays, you can take an absolute dart throw as a captain. Otherwise, I don't think I'd get to him even in the flex. Ross Dwelly, don't think you get to get to him. He had one catch for a touchdown last week. George Kittle is back, so don't think you get to go there. Juwan Jennings, third wide receiver for the San Fran. Saw 2 targets last week. Caught one of them. Once again, one of those guys, on these primetime slates, it always seems like a random, wide receiver, random fullback, random, fullback, wide receiver, running back, whatever it may be. It seems like the third or fourth option will get the touchdowns on these primetime slates. So you could definitely take a shot on, these lower end guys in the flex. I wouldn't put them in the captain. I'd put them in the flex. You can definitely take a shot on them catching like a stat line like Ross Dwelly, one catch, one target for, however many yards, probably 20 or less if they're close to the red zone, and a touchdown. That'll get you 8 to 13 points. Depending on how far away they are from the red zone, but that could win you. That could, solidify you cashing, if not win you the tournament. So there's always that chance. You can always build that way, but I'm not too high on that. 49ers defense, a little too expensive for me. I just don't. You really need them to score a touchdown, both defenses, to be kind of the optimal plays. So I just don't think I'm going to get there. Once again, you could, but I just think the offenses are better than how good the defenses are, if that makes sense. Robbie Gould, I don't mind taking a shot on the kickers in this game. It could be a little bit of a slugfest, pretty slow-paced game. Both offenses don't look too great right now, so the kickers are definitely firmly in play. And it's at Denver, which means they can kick the ball farther and a little bit higher. So with that in mind, you can definitely pick the kickers, or at least one of them. I don't think I'd play 2 of them unless you really expect a bad game. Broncos D, I said, you really need them to score a touchdown. Otherwise, they're not going to be worth a play. Backup Denver tight end, Saubert, saw 2 targets. Once again, as I said, you could take a shot on those backup, Denver tight ends, because it seems like they're going to get more playing time than the 49ers side, but I just don't think you have to. Ray McLeod saw 2 targets. Don't think I'm going to get there. Tyreek Cleveland, hamstring injury. With Hamler sidelined and Jerry Judy sidelined, he saw some run, but I do think he'll probably won't be in because I think Jerry Judy will at least be back, and maybe even Hamler, so I don't think he'd go there. San Fran did sign Marlon back. I don't expect him to play. Actually, he might. Once again, running back situation for San Fran. Eli Mitchell out. Price is out, so they did sign rookie Jordan Mason. And so the running back situation is going to be Jeff Wilson Jr., main guy. And then they do have, as we just saw, Marlon Mack. Don't think he'll play, but would they say Jordan Mason? Is he even on this list? Did I miss him? Yeah, he's flat minimum. You could maybe he plays 5 to 10 snaps. We're not sure how much playing time he'll get. I mean, San Fran does like to run the ball a good amount, so maybe he could get in there and get a rushing touchdown close to the end zone if Jeff Wilson's tired that he needs a breather. Not really sure if he's a pass catching back. I didn't look too deep into it yet, but I don't mind taking a dart throw there. 1,000 for the backup running back in San Fran, a heavy run offense. So you could definitely take a dart throw there at 1K. Don't mind that. But maybe they do throw Marlon Mack in there for goal line. Who knows? But don't mind that dart throw there. Let's get back to the breakdown of. Also, I think my favorite dart throw on the slate would be Kyle Juszczyk. Great fullback. He will be involved in the red zone offense, whether that's blocking, and he can also catch the ball. He's a great wide receiver. I could see Juszczyk having a decent game here. He's not going to get a ton of looks or targets. He hasn't in the beginning of this season, but he did get that touchdown last week. I do think he'll be decently popular as a dart throw play at 1,400, but for good reason. He will be involved in the red zone, so definitely keep that in mind. They really like him in the red zone. They really like him as a pass catching back, especially if their wide receivers get injured or they just need some relief out of the backfield. Do like Juszczyk a decent amount as a flex play. Wouldn't throw him in the captain, but a decent flex play 1,400 as a guy who will get an opportunity or two in a game. Hinton, I don't think he should go there. Saw 1 catch, 1 target, and that really does it for me. I think we kind of went over and touched on everyone. Obviously, favorite dart throw play is going to be Juszczyk. Once again, you can get to Jordan Mason, the backup running back on the 49ers side. You could take a random shot on one of those random backup tight ends on the Denver side, but I think my favorite two are the running backs, Juszczyk and Jordan Mason. And then I think, my favorite captain plays are going to be, let me get back. Sutton, Kittle, and I'd say Javonte, and then Juszczyk would be my favorite flex play, my favorite low salary play. And those are the picks for tomorrow night's Sunday football game, kind of how I think the game will go. I think it'll be a decent game, maybe 28-21, maybe like 24-17, something like that. Enough points where the defenses won't get involved unless there's like a fumble return or a touchdown return from the decent defenses. But I do think it'll be hard-fought game, two good defenses. This is kind of like how I expect it to go. Who knows? These primetime games are always super random. But if you like the video, leave a like, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.